everybody? New podcast out with Biplab Shadhuri. Bips is a serial entrepreneur. Awesome guy. Also an incredible business professional. And he shares his journey, including emigrating to America, the path that he had to travel to do so, but also the events that led him to starting his own business. And as he documents throughout the podcast, now he's got a ton of different ventures going on. Really cool guy. We dive into his early morning routine, and I mean early, and as well as how he, as a CEO of multiple businesses, keeps himself informed and looking forward for his next business venture. Awesome conversation. I think there's a lot to gain from it, especially those who have an entrepreneurial spirit. You'll love this one. Check it out. Bips, welcome to Beers and Careers, my man.
Thank you.
We got some festive holiday beers here.
This is pretty good. It's a local Massachusetts.
Yep. You're drinking a Wormtown Blizzard of 78, which was a huge blizzard we had here in 1978. And I'm drinking a Harpoon Winter Warmer. Not bad.
Fantastic.
Little holiday spirit. Bips, can you introduce yourself? I know you one way. When I looked at your LinkedIn, you're a man of many businesses. But I wanted you, can you give people the overview? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so people know me as Bips.
Yes.
My real name is Biplab Chaudhary. Tech entrepreneur. Started business 17 years ago. This will be my fourth venture. Predominantly started career a lot into staffing industry. Worked there and then started my own engineering staffing firm, sold it out, then started PTS Consulting, which is more of a IT staffing and consulting firm. Evolution from there into a tech consulting firm. Fast forward, last 3 years, we built multiple products, moved into digital innovation. So rebranded ourselves into digital, called Digitize, which is, you can see my t-shirt.
Yes.
It's more into digital transformation, predominantly on human capital management and on finance transformations. Lot of outsourcing, BPO stuff. So yeah, the career has throughout been in there. Also have a big real estate business, do a lot of commercial real estate, individual housing, multifamily housing, both in US, Dubai, Latin America, India. So that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, you're a busy man. You're a busy man. So we have a Beers and Careers tradition of, before we get too deep in it, what is your, couple of rapid fire questions. What is your favorite drink? Or beer or cocktail?
Scotch.
Scotch.
Yeah, my favorite is Scotch. Go-to Scotch will be Highland Park 25.
Okay.
Right, that will be my go-to.
All right.
Some days I'm a Callan 18 too.
And now, help me. I'm a bourbon guy.
Uh-huh.
Is that on the peatier end, those scotches, or?
It's just two different places.
They're two different places.
So the whiskey coming from Scotland is Scotch. Whiskey coming from Kentucky.
Oh, I know that, but I'm
bourbon.
saying like the type of scotch you like.
So bourbon depends on which bourbon. It will be more on the Islay side of it. I like more of Highland, North Scotland.
Okay.
Right. So
yeah. All right. I love it. Brown liquor, man.
Brown liquor.
Brown liquor. Do you have a favorite curse word?
F you.
Yep. That's the perennial favorite. You into quotes at all? You like inspirational quotes or anything that you ponder on?
Not really.
Cool. Yeah. It's
I
one
think
of those things
take
that
my quotes at time.
I love that. There you go. I think it's one of those things where some people like have them and they can rattle them off, and other people are like, no, not at all.
You know, it's weird. I don't think quotes at all. Like somebody said one thing, like resonate as such.
Yeah.
There are some funny quotes.
Yes.
Right? Like we all laugh at it, but not a big quote.
The quote I've said to my wife or a couple of guys I work with recently, because it's year end and Christmas and all that stuff going on. I keep saying, well, when you're drowning, it doesn't matter how deep the water is.
Exactly.
It's like,
my
you're
point
still
is,
drowning.
Exactly. If you drown in 8 feet versus 80 feet,
it doesn't matter.
Really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're still drowning. How about books? You got a favorite book?
We'll be very honest with you. Had I been a good reader, my entire family, a lot of people don't know, are all doctors.
Okay.
I think between my direct family and extended family, we have bunch of neurosurgeon. My own sister is a very renowned neurosurgeon.
Wow.
So when you look at me, you know that I don't read books.
So good. So good. So are the holidays weird? Do they make fun of you?
To be very, yeah, it is. It is like, it's a family time with kids and
Yeah.
2 young kids. So it's always a fun time. But since you asked a book, I recently read about World War II
Okay.
because I'm very fascinated about history.
Yes.
So I just read a book. Don't ask me the name.
Yeah.
But it was about Holocaust, which I really enjoyed.
Wow.
Right,
Interesting.
it
Yeah.
gives a lot of perspective because I'm a firm believer. If you read history, you can build a better future.
Yeah. You can
Right.
you can not repeat
And
the
as
same
a
mistakes.
business owner, we're always looking forward.
Yes.
So we must take everything what's happened before. So it's very important. So to me, if you read history and you learn history, you are the man who can build a better
You're
future.
better prepared.
Yeah.
For decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is very important. And believe me, if you go to like all these kids who are going to MBA school, one of the things they'll realize, most of the business strategies comes from World War One, World War II, or from any war.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Because that's the best strategy they make.
Yes.
Right? How to win, how to
Yep.
defend, how to go. And in today's day and age, sitting in a business, that's what we are doing.
It
right?
is.
So
That's the truth. Are you a podcast guy by any chance? Do you like listen?
you will be surprised. Recently somebody told me I should be doing podcasts.
Yeah.
And I have never been in podcasts.
Yeah.
or
No.
anything.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Well,
I saw
welcome. You're on your first. This is
yeah, on my
wonderful.
first,
Yeah.
and I saw the Joe Rogan podcast.
yes, yes.
Super funny.
Yes.
Right. So I believe what I really like and what inspired me for your podcast is like you and me can be just ourselves,
Yeah.
talk ourselves, not worry what someone else is thinking. Let it go out, and then whatever somebody wants to think.
It's a liberating format.
Exactly.
You don't have to give a shit, which is like
Exactly.
the wonderful part of it. I love it too. What's funny is doing this. You don't get the business person. You get the real person.
Exactly. And you know what? Back in my mind,
Yeah.
tomorrow if I do a podcast studio,
Yeah.
I will make a studio where it's a cigar lounge
Oh,
with nice scotch
I
and 2 men sitting
I
talking together.
I wish
Right?
I could
and we
install
can
an
be just
exhaust
ourselves.
fan. I know.
Right? And
It's the truth.
because see, one thing I realized in my life, I can't please everyone.
No.
I just have to be what I am.
Right.
Some people will like me, some people will hate me, some people will critique me.
When did you
That's
get
not
that? When was that? When did you realize you can't please everyone?
To be very honest, that part of my career when I was in business, you will see many times. Stories comes in, I'm a struggled person, I built this. But you know what, for me, what is more inspiring is we struggle every day.
Yeah.
There's every day something happens that realize. I'll tell you, 3-4 years pre-COVID, this realization came to me.
Okay.
We were working on a deal, and everything was very close. Like everything looked like hunky dory, like we're getting in, and then it just fell apart. And when it fell apart, like when I closed my eyes and I thought through, I'm like, you know what? I think I was just trying to be what everybody was telling me to be, and I just lost the genuinity of what I could have done,
Yeah.
or how I would have approached. And then that day I realized, I'm like, you know what? From here on,
Yeah.
it's me, just me.
Yep.
Let's go away.
Right.
And I don't need to please 10 people. I don't need to upset 20 people or anything. Let just me be me, right? Somebody will like me. Everything has 2 sides. Who cares? Listen, you and me sitting a beer having a podcast, there will be people, why are these guys drinking beer?
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with them?
Always.
This is supposed to be a professional podcast.
Right.
Okay, dude.
Right.
Like,
Right.
big
I'm
deal.
not for you.
Exactly.
I'm not for you. I feel the same. Well, the reason I brought up podcasts too, you made me think of it with history. If you want to dive into one, I can't believe I've never shared this on my podcast before, but my friend shared me history that doesn't suck. Is 1 hour podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say in the last year and a half, I'm probably 80 hours in, and it starts you off with like a 17-year-old George Washington and chronicles through the entire U.S. history.
Wow.
So I'm in like I've made it to like the Industrial Revolution.
Wow.
Kind of thing. So like through slavery, through rebuilding, and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know a lot about. I didn't know a lot about stuff that happened in the U.S. between. Now it is only U.S. history, but I didn't know a lot of stuff between like the end of the Revolution.
Yeah.
And like the Civil War. That's like a pretty big gap. Crazy shit happened in America.
yeah.
Crazy.
I'll tell you why my fascination. My son was 5 months old. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife decided to go to Europe in 2018. Mm-hmm. And I got 2 tickets for World Cup in Russia.
Oh, wow.
And, as an American to go to Russia is like,
Yeah,
dude,
crazy.
But because it's a FIFA World Cup,
Yeah.
you have no visa, nothing, you can go in.
No way.
Yeah.
You didn't need a visa.
No.
Okay.
So what happened, I only had 2 tickets. And then when I called FIFA, they're like, oh, your 5 months old needs a ticket too.
No
like
way.
in US,
Yeah,
it's free.
yeah.
But it's not FIFA. So I left them in Switzerland, and a buddy of mine flew in. We went there. When I came back after like 2 days game, I came back, I met them. We came to Germany. And as my inquisitiveness, we were in Munich, I went to Dachau. Just as a tour.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I saw the video and everything, and I keep telling my wife, what made me the proud American is when the movie ends, they show the video that the ray of hope came in when the train comes in and
Yeah.
all the U.S. Army comes in
Yeah.
and rescued everyone.
Right.
And those
I
things.
just got chills.
Yeah,
I just got
yeah, like
chills.
when you
Yeah.
read that, when you see that, I'm like, wow.
It's-
like, there is a lot to be proud of as an American.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel that like
it's forgotten.
We've forgotten and we don't teach the next generation, right?
No.
Like we're not telling them that, what it's to be like an American.
Yes.
You need to go overseas and you will see the respect they have because when they are reading that book, right? Imagine the brutality that is happening. And the only ray of hope is that,
Train.
5,000 U.S. Army just comes in and rescues the entire concentration camp. It gives you
Powerful.
chills.
Powerful.
It's powerful. It gives you chills. It gives you motivation. It's just so much to it. It's unbelievable.
No, I love that. Well, then I'm telling you, man, you'd love this podcast, History That Doesn't Suck, because you get to know about the early Americans.
Yeah.
That and how they made their decisions about the Constitution and all. It's crazy.
Oh,
and the lives they led.
It is, everything that you put your mind in. So I was in New York. I studied in Connecticut. So when I was in New York in 2000.
Yeah, that's where you get your master's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you see this Holland Tunnel and Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind?
Who's-
Boy, in 1900s, these guys could think of something.
Right.
Like when today, like yesterday, that Elon Musk said he wants to make a tunnel to London and make it a 1 hour,
Wow.
this
Trip.
boring company wants
Yeah.
to do that. And I'm just thinking, yeah, and how do we react today? Okay, he might be able to do it.
Right.
But imagine back then,
Crazy.
somebody could say, I'm going to take you from New Jersey to New York through a tunnel.
Now that I'm in this part where they're talking about the Industrial Revolution, they're talking
Exactly.
about the Transcontinental Railroad.
Yeah.
And most people are like, you can't do that. Most people are like, it can't happen.
Exactly. But back then, with limited resources and everything,
They made it too.
It's, one thing I say is their perseverance.
It's
that
insane.
They wanted to
It's
do this,
insane.
right? And they did it. So it was-
It's the truth. So what was your first job? Like, what was the first job you got?
The very first job, I think I worked for a very small company. And when I was doing my master's, they told me, actually, let me rephrase.
Did you grow up here?
No, I was born in India.
Okay.
I did my bachelor's in India.
Okay.
And then
So you had to have a job before that.
Yeah, no. So the year I finished my bachelor's, I got accepted in here.
Okay.
So I came here to do my master's. But during that time, I was like, just by myself, 3 months off.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me take a job. And I actually got my first job, and I used to sell cars.
Okay.
Yeah. And that too they used to call a DSC, which is like a dealer. It's not like you sell brand new cars. You sell like used car.
Yeah. So you were selling all kinds of cars.
Yeah, like anything.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I sold, there is no car with us.
Yeah.
Like, so the dealer that the family that owned that had like tie up with GM or let's say Ford. But I'll be calling customer, oh, I can sell you a Ford. Oh, no, I like a GM. Okay, I'll give you GM.
Yeah. Any good stories out of that 3-month stint?
Oh, yeah, I have a great story. 3 months in that project, didn't know anything how to sell a car
Yeah.
or anything, right? Finished my mechanical engineering. What do I know? Yeah, I know a little bit about the cars.
Right.
Right.
But not selling.
But nothing. And this is in India, right? Like selling cars, like car can only be bought by rich people.
Right.
Like it's not for common people. So we will get calls and then we have to call the driver and take the car. So all I remember, the owner, he was like, yeah, you guys should be selling a lot. And I don't think I sold anything in 3 months. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right?
That's a good first entry into sales.
Oh yeah.
Just
It
rejection
was like,
city.
yeah. All I just enjoyed meeting people.
Yeah.
Learning different things about the customers and all. But yeah, it was like, so somebody asked me first job and first success. I'm like, I had the first job. I don't know if I can tell I have a success. I sold nothing, like nothing.
So you get your master's then in
University of Bridgeport, Connecticut.
and then what happens after that?
So while I was
So you were
doing
living
my-
in New York City?
Yeah. No.
Or you lived
this
in
was
Connecticut?
in Connecticut.
Okay, yeah.
So on my final year, one of my friends, she took a job with a IT staffing company, called me, hey, you guys should come and do a training here, like a QA training and do a job. And honestly, we started doing the training. I'm like, dude, I'm a mechanical engineering and I don't understand anything that you
Right.
guys are doing. But again, it's a very small company. So the owner, I just went one day and I asked, I'm like, hey, you guys sell these people, right? That you train back in the project. I think I can do it, right? So I don't know. Honestly, he was my ex-boss, good friend now. We're still in touch. And he was like, yeah, I think you can do it. Just come over, right? And
So you got your first job was a staffing sales job?
yeah, like a recruiter.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
recruiter.
Like mine
I,
too, yeah.
I had no idea, like, coming from. The only thing is, being an engineer, I used to understand what these guys are doing.
Correct.
But yeah, he kind of got me into that, and I remember, I think my first sale, I was not even 30 days doing this job, and one of my buddy who was doing the training, I put him in a project. So that was a good feeling.
Yep.
But if you ask me today, it was utterly by fluke.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
Just
have no
happened.
idea
Just worked out.
what I was doing. But yeah, that's how I stepped into the world of consulting or staffing world. And
How long were you there?
just about a year.
And then after that, you started your own?
No, so I was actually still in college
Okay.
while I was doing this. I finished college. Right when I was graduating, we needed sponsorship for visa and all.
Yeah.
So one of the senior guy in the company left and joined another company in New York City. Not New York City, in Jersey City.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? He called me, joined there. So together I worked there like an year, shifted to another company. Like, you know how staffing world is, small network.
It is very small.
So met another gentleman, and he then moved into another company. So literally 2 years.
Okay.
And then I started my.
Then you started your own. What was the drive to start your own?
I saw 2008, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Everything was going
Yes.
nowhere.
Okay.
Right, completely down.
Yep.
Was not doing well. So by this time, I learned, like,
The
what
basics.
staffing, basics of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, So, lot of these companies they were on to like doing like, foreign workers into IT and everything. And I realized there is a big scope in terms of, engineering side of it.
Yeah.
So that's when I started. as an
You were like,
engineering
I'm going to do the
firm,
same thing, but with engineering.
But engineering. So
Very cool.
like engineering as low as light industrial to all the way to heavy engineering. and all of that.
And did you start that out of Chicago? Is that tech?
Yeah, Technologians.
Technologies, yeah.
So it was.
How'd you get to Chicago? How'd you get to Chicago?
So 2008 happened. Like, quit my job. I was in New York. My sister was doing her MBA,
Doctorate.
postdoc. Like,
Yeah,
not the
okay.
postdoc. What the? Jesus. After medical school, they go to the residency.
Residency.
Yeah. So she was doing her residency there. So I called her. I'm like, hey, can I crash into your basement?
Yes, yes, and that's how you ended up in Chicago. And you started out of her basement.
Literally.
Wow.
Off of her basement.
Okay.
Right. So I won't call it that she might hear this podcast and kill me. It's not really a basement.
Yeah.
She had a 3-story townhome. Right. So I was literally on the ground floor.
Yep.
Right. I crashed in with her, and that's when I started.
Okay.
Technologians.
And you did that for 3 years
Like
or
3
so.
years,
Yep.
yeah.
And then you sold it.
Yeah.
Cool. Why'd you want to get out?
Too little money.
Yep.
Wasn't. I will call it not a great venture. It's
Okay.
a learning venture.
Yep.
You failed, you learned, but then you realize that it's about time.
Yeah.
You need
Do
to make
something
some
else.
changes
Do something
and
else.
everything.
So how did you decide what to go to from there? Because is that the start of Digitas?
Yes, pretty much. That's
Okay.
the start of Digitis.
Where'd you start Digitas?
In Chicago.
In Chicago,
In
okay.
Chicago.
All right.
Our office was.
Oh, you're still in Chicago too, right? You still? Have a
I
Chicago
still have a
office?
place in
Yeah,
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
but the office is in
Yeah.
Dallas now. Yeah.
So no, our Chicago office is still there.
Oh, it is?
It is
Okay.
now a development center.
Okay.
So all our IT developers and everybody is there.
Yeah.
Engineers are all in there. So how it all started, I wasn't scouting the market, right? And I know a lot of people are gonna listen to this. I'm not bad mouthing, but back then, you become the big push was MSP started coming in.
Yep.
Your business started channelizing into one flow, things like that. And then I'm like, you know what? At some point, there's going to be commoditized.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if this is the process. So that was the shift. So when we started big time into data and analytics.
Okay.
That was our core. I had a very good friend. He was working at that time at United Health Group. He came in, he told me that this is the sector you guys all should look at. By this time, I was not that bad of a salesman that I won't sell anything in 3 months. Right? So that's how we started that whole journey. And then throughout, my goal was that, shift more from just providing manpower to something valuable for the customers, right? In terms of, because like I said, you can say sometimes you foresee, so I was foreseeing that eventually sector-wise staffing will become very commoditized and
Yes.
it will become a channelized partnership, like more like a MSP funneling in. So as a supplier, value addition becomes very limited and scoped out. So that's when we did the big shift in
Okay.
terms of and moreover, all the engineers I was hiring and everything, I'm like, there should be more value addition in terms of providing to them. So
And so did you sell your product to the MSP? Who bought the first product you built?
the first product that we built was actually sold to a company.
Yeah, the companies
Yeah.
bought it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So we literally, to be very honest, we have never engaged or sold any of the product to MSPs or anything.
Okay.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
it was, so within the HCM field, so the products that we presently have, it really doesn't, how do I put it? It won't fit like a staffing company. It will
Right.
feel more of an HR
Yes.
of the organization.
Yes.
Right? Like, you must have seen, I recently built and launched the very first payroll engine in Latin America. We are the first cloud-based payroll engine in Latin America. We just launched it in Costa Rica. We are expanding it to Panama, Guatemala, Mexico, Colombia. And when I say the payroll engine, if you see the product, it is exactly like what we'll do in US. Like you'll go to any web-based payroll system, Paychex or ADP, you enter your time, and it will run the payroll instantaneously. So Latin America did not have that, right?
Right.
When we expanded in Latin America,
Because
5
the
years
laws are so difficult?
the tax are very different.
The taxes
right?
are-
So
yeah.
it like with all honesty, it took us a year and a half. Our
Okay.
engineers, we have 3 like apart from the development team, on the core team, the architect team that I have with me. So I designed it. I gave them all the what the logics will look like, and then we have a mathematician who worked on all the. So it's overly complex.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a tedious effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people like the accounting firms that still wants to do it manually.
Yeah.
Right. It's not very structured or automated. But I guess I can proudly say
Yeah.
we changed that.
Yeah,
right?
that's incredible.
We completely changed that, and people can see the product, and it's now. And when I built it, I did not just think of. A lot of companies, when they build in products, they only think about a client, but the definition of client gets skewed, right? They always think of, I'm going to make a product for a Fortune 500 company. But you don't understand the product is also used by people.
Right.
So one thing what we did is we call it our customers are both. Like your employee who's seeing in his
Logging in.
phone
Yeah.
and logging in his pay stub is also a customer, right? Like I did not define them as a user.
Okay.
For me, they are also a customer. For me, the client that is running that is also a customer. So with that thought, we built the product.
Very cool.
And today, everybody's looking at the employee experience side. They're like, dude, we want it for our people.
Right.
Like these people can imagine running a payroll. They can go into their app. So it's completely digital, right? As we focus, we launched it in Apple apps, Android
That's awesome.
platform, and everything. So yeah, and January 1st, we're launching the same for US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're doing the US payroll now. Now again, it's a very crowded US payroll, as you know.
Yeah, it's a-
right?
yeah, it's
lot
a-
of them. But yes, what our biggest focus area is. That's why we're now partnering with a lot of EOR
Yep.
who wants to support. But what happens is they support, but they don't have a system
To manage it
to
in
do
country to
overseas,
country, yeah.
country to country. And this will help them tremendously to partner, come in our platform, and just provide the service.
Yeah, I mean, like what I find so impressive about your background is like the recognition of global human capital and the problems it presents, and then you finding the solutions to it. Like this payroll system in Latin America. Did that come about because of your Costa Rican operation, and it was
Yes,
a pain in the ass
yes.
for you, and you're like,
Oh.
I'm fixing this, or
Dude,
yeah, okay.
I'll be honest with you. I go to different conferences, right? Get
Yeah.
invited. You go any of these FDI conference, these countries will come in and say how great we are. We're gonna give you a tax benefit
Yeah.
and everything, and then you see the global companies. Let's go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Okay, you just saw one side of the story. You forgot to look into the labor laws of that country.
Right.
It's a shit show.
It's
I'm sorry to say,
Yeah, yeah.
these are freaking
We
third
are
world
lucky.
countries.
We're lucky in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody who criticizes even a word for America, I
Right.
always tell them, not bragging, sitting here at the podcast. I have over 76 countries stamped on my passport.
Right.
Right? I've been to all these places, and I'm telling you, like, what do you think? My wife is Canadian. It's a shit show country, man.
Yeah.
Absolute shit show country if you go in today.
Right.
Like, my mother-in-law needs a knee surgery. She had to wait like 3 years.
Right.
And you bragging about their medical insurance.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
It's not that simple. People
Right.
compare, I'm going to look at Sweden. Yeah. What is Sweden's population? 3 million.
I know.
That's like Greater Boston, maybe.
I think you're about right. I think you're about
Are you
right.
really taking that to a country size of 350 million? Like,
That was my experience when I lived in Australia.
in tech world, we say we're running POC.
Yeah.
If I have to run a POC for United States, my subset will be bigger than Sweden. I'll at least run a POC with 10 million.
Right.
Right.
Which is crazy. I mean, that hit me when I was living in Australia because Australia is about the same size as the U.S. geography-wise, continental if you
Yeah.
don't count Alaska. And then you like start to realize there's like 20 million people, 25 million people in
And
Australia, and
guess
you're like,
what?
well, that's greater New York.
And guess what?
It's like-
21 million lives between three, like Victoria, North, Southwest. So your Sydney, Melbourne, and all that
Yeah.
coastal belt,
Yeah,
and
it's all
some in
there.
Perth.
It's all there. It's all there. And
85% of your country,
is barren.
nobody knows.
And I think the stat, I don't know if it's exact, and I wish I had someone to look it up for me in the moment, but I think like 90% of people live within 2 miles of the ocean. Like no one lives in the middle
No.
at all.
No. So it's only the coast. So
Yeah.
if you go to the east,
Oh yeah, I lived there. It was
from
wild.
Brisbane
Yes.
to Sydney,
All the way down.
yeah, and
From
then
Cairns
on the
all
left,
the way down. Yeah.
you have Perth. That's it.
It's
Right.
wild.
It's
wild.
If I'm not mistaken.
Going to Perth is like going to Vermont.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's nobody here.
Like I will be shocked if we pick up random travelers to Australia and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, are you going to Perth?" They'll
Right.
be like taking a map. Where is that?
Right. It's the truth. It's like how do you so is most of your product creation out of that necessity from you doing business in these countries and being like I
Actually,
can make it better?
To be very honest, twofold, right? Fold number one, we were in the country, we could see the pain area, and
Solve
we
it.
realized there is a problem. Let's solve it. On the flip side of it is, my philosophy is very simple. I don't want to sell you something, right, unless I want to use it,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
when I told my engineering team, I said, guys, all these products, let's utilize by us first. If you design a product and you say, I'm not going to use it, I'm going to sell it to the whole world,
Yeah.
you don't believe in your product,
Yeah.
right? And where I come from, when I see these problems, I believe in it.
Yeah.
And if I have to be proven wrong, let me be wrong first.
You're the test case.
Yes.
So,
So
how long do you keep it within your own ecosystem before you sell it?
Unless we are 100% ourselves,
Okay.
right? Not 80, not 90. Like
Cool.
Unless, so just give you a fact, we ran a whole quarter payroll into our own platform.
Yep.
Mashed up everything with the tax authority, with the CPAs and everything. When it gave us the zero error, that day we launched for the market,
Okay.
right? Before that, it's just in-house.
Yep.
Keep testing, keep doing. We have an operation, we're successfully doing it, then only come to the market,
Yeah.
right? So with that philosophy, it helps us on the
Yes.
product lines, right? Like there are a lot of products, right? Like if you ask the founders, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I saw a problem statement, I built it. Can you use it? I don't know."
Right. Right.
So
You have a unique advantage where your core
Exactly.
business already puts you in these countries.
Exactly, and that's why we are like, when I am launching the product, I am not grabbing an idea and running behind a VC or a PE. Hey, give me money. Like I'm not worried about a value creation.
Yeah.
I'm a old school businessman. Hey, I still believe in profit. I
Yeah.
still believe in, give it to your customer, sell the right product, your valuation will automatically come in.
Right.
You don't have to create any hypothetical valuation.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah, which is very old school these days. Everyone wants PE money.
everybody wants PE money
And a rip.
Touch wood.
They want an exit.
Completely bootstrap as of today.
Yep.
It's my own money. I keep on investing on myself.
Yep.
My belief, right? My ideas and everything. And
Hmm.
we're like, let's stick to it, right? There will be time when there will be somebody out in the market who wants to see not superficial value, real value, right? Real product, not a case study, not like a POC, right? Trying to come out of it. So.
Do you so how do you set goals and direction for your company in terms of like, I don't mean like in the here and now or what 2025 looks like, but do you have a running list of problems that you're looking to solve, or like how big do you want Digitas to be? Like how do you go about that process?
Very good
Or
question.
do you go about it?
Like yesterday, one of my other friend asked me the same question.
No way.
He's like, what was it? So I was, I've been traveling.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I came up
Honestly,
from-
man, every
Yeah.
time I talk to you, you're traveling. It's
So
incredible.
I flew in from Costa Rica to Miami,
Okay.
and then a buddy of mine, he lives in Jupiter,
Yeah.
who's a member at Bears Club. So
Oh.
I just drove up and played at.
Cool.
I'm like, who will say no to Bears
Oh,
Club? So
phenomenal.
I was sitting with him. He sold his company. He has an engineering firm. He sold it, and he was just asking me the same thing. And I'm like, you know what? At this point where I am in,
Yeah.
I get more pleasure not defining, that I want to be a $1 billion
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
I'm going to be $100 million company. What gives me more pleasure is that, the product I built,
Yeah.
right? The idea it came in, and, the next big idea. And I'm like, you know what? If I make good product, it will eventually take me somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what is
Yeah.
the number to put in.
Yeah.
And those numbers have no longer been a motivation for me.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, it's as candid as everybody wants money.
Right.
Right? Everybody enjoys it. Right? And I always say, don't give lectures unless you have money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's better. Right?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
have,
Yes.
then give all the lectures, people will listen to it. But where to answer your question on this, like at this point of time, I don't look at company more, where the company will be tomorrow, right? So that's why I literally told Nilesh, I'm like, you know what? I think I should hire a CEO. Because I don't think I have that mentality anymore.
Yeah.
That what I want to see. I might be somebody else might be doing a much better job than
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I get more excited
On the product.
on not just the product, like okay, we see. So literally the joke is, if you come to the office and me and Nilesh are there and we are talking, he'll tell, do not throw anything at him. He'll
Right,
come up with another
right,
product
right.
idea,
And he's
another
gonna do more
something.
shit.
And it's gonna be more shit on us. Like, hey guys, go ahead.
That's
this
fun.
is something.
That's awesome. So how many people today at Digitas around the world?
Around the world, around 600 plus.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
A little over 600 plus.
Yep. And how many miles did you fly in 2024?
We are on a podcast, but I'll be honest with you. A lot of people might be like, hey, this guy's trying to brag. So I wanna
you
make
can
it
put
a proof.
There's a camera. You can show
I'm
the camera.
literally making a proof. I'm a little disappointed because the year is ending,
Okay.
and I just wanted to show the highlight that I am right about to close 1 million mile.
This year.
Yep.
Damn. So
I am at 949,217.
how do you run a business and a family traveling that much? That's impressive. You spend a lot of days on the road.
again,
right? How many nights on the road is that? It's got to be 150, 200.
120 to 150
Yeah.
in between.
Yep.
I don't know which all platform you release this podcast.
Yeah. All of them.
I hope my wife doesn't see this
Okay.
podcast. She'll
Well, you
like
got to
kill
have a
me.
supportive wife.
Oh yeah,
You gotta have-
absolutely.
you can't do
Listen,
this. You can't do anything.
One thing, hands down, I'll admit, what I am today,
Yeah.
right? 200% credit goes to that woman.
Yeah.
And hands down, I have 2 boys.
Yep.
Right. 6 years and
Yeah,
4 years.
yeah.
And
Which
what
is mayhem. That's like
Oh,
two
yeah.
monkeys at home.
Oh,
Unleashed.
absolutely. And I think if I had 2 monkeys, I would be
Yeah,
much better.
calmer.
Right, yeah. But yes, all credit to her. Like, there is no word that I can praise her for these things. But having said that, she's very supportive and she knows, like, just, I'm sure she can validate that. She likes my ambition.
Yeah.
That I'm ambitious, and this gives me much more passion and to do something. And I can't sit idle, man.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, you're a go. You gotta go.
Like, I gotta go. Like, to the point, I paid extra to have a up and down desk.
Yep.
Because only reason I can't sit.
Yeah.
I have to get up. So
Yep,
I'm
yep.
like so. Unless I'm doing something, I'm an utter mess.
Yep.
Right. So I am more organized and to be very honest, being young.
Yeah,
Right. Which
yeah.
I think I'm still young.
Yeah. I hope we count as young, man.
No, I'm just saying, being young and this, it kind of motivating for me. So people say you travel so much. I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this for quite some time now.
Yeah.
It does literally comes up, but I've been a little disciplined now, right? While traveling.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't like completely knock myself out drinking
Yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
traveling and things like that. But I don't feel it anymore. It's like motivating
normal.
me. It's like
Just normal.
motivating me, right? I'm literally I was 3 weeks ago out from my house. If you open my suitcase, I was in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
then to Dallas, then to Costa Rica, then to Miami, then to Boston. So my suitcase is packed with way summer clothes
Yes.
to the hoodies and the overcoat to be in
I know.
Boston.
You got lucky, dude. It's not even cold yet.
Yeah, it's not.
You got lucky.
Yeah, it's and one thing my wife will definitely complain. No matter which time zone am I in,
Yeah.
or anywhere am I in, I don't think there hasn't been a single day I have not woken up between 4:30 and 5.
Yeah.
Every day of my life.
That
Like
you-
I'm a very early riser,
Okay.
right?
Do you go to bed early?
By 9:30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Same.
9:30.
Yeah.
Like max late, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Exceptions are there, but
Yeah.
I'm out. And then I get up like to the point. Even if I sleep at 1, I still will get up at 5.
Okay.
I might not have a proper sleep at that point,
Yeah.
but it just has not.
Why are
changed.
the mornings so important for you?
I think the most of my work, like productive work that I do,
Happens then.
is between 5 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay.
And I will be honest with you, anybody who trying to take inspiration from this podcast,
Yeah.
after 8 we bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. If somebody says I work after 8, no, dude, you're fucking wasting time after 8 because
Yeah.
all you're doing is,
Meetings
you know,
and-
you're doing meetings, you're doing firefighting, you're trying to solve.
Keep it going.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
trying to keep it going.
You're
Right.
not driving.
Between 5 to 8, I work.
Yeah.
Right. I can plan. I can think. I can look into the product.
So what do you do? You wake up at 5, cup of coffee. What's your morning routine?
Straight up. So 4:30.
Yeah.
I have to leave my bedroom because
Yep.
my wife has nothing to do with me at that point of time.
Yep.
I come down to my office, switch on my morning news,
Yep.
make my coffee, start my day, like whatever ideas
And you're
comes
just
in my
uninterrupted until the kids get up.
completely uninterrupted
That's
until
pretty cool.
until like 7:30.
Yeah,
like
it's
when
good,
my
though.
elder one was going to school, but they don't bother me.
Yeah.
Like they know. But yes, from a work standpoint, it's pure
Wow.
gem time.
Yeah.
Like 5 to 8 is what I work. You know, after Mark, I can tell you from after 8 what I do. Sir, can you approve this? Okay.
Yes.
Hey, this guy said we sent him this. I'm like, what somebody will call it, like firefighting. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, my entire 8 a.m. till 6 a.m. goes in BS.
Yeah.
Completely. If somebody might think that's work,
Yeah.
I don't think that's work.
Right.
Right.
Because you're
Like you
into-
said,
yeah.
you're like trying to keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think anybody. Again, people might be different. I don't think you have an idea coming out at 10 a.m. Right.
No.
At 10 a.m., your only thing that you're thinking is your secretary has told there are this issue.
Yeah.
You have this meeting to go to. This is what you're doing.
Yes.
Right. And for me, that morning time is the time of calmness, time of thought,
Yep.
time of doing everything.
It's wonderfully peaceful. I know you're not a reader, but there's a book called The 5 a.m. Club
Okay.
by Robin Sharma. And
Mm-hmm.
I read it probably right during the pandemic or right before the
Uh-huh.
pandemic, and that changed my life. That was the first time I started to be like, I'm going to get up at 4:40. I go to the gym, and now I will admit, since the pandemic's over, I go to the gym at 6. So I wake up at 5,
Uh-huh.
5:30, go to the gym at 6. But I'm also fortunate where I've got some people that run the show here for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I try not to schedule any meetings except for Monday. I have no meetings until like 11.
Okay.
So when I get
That's a
in,
good-
So when I get in at 8, see the kids and do that, 8 to 11. No
It's your
meetings.
time.
No
Yeah.
meetings. I mean, and shit comes up though.
Oh, yeah.
The better part about your plan is no one can call you at
Yeah.
6 a.m. These
Oh.
people don't.
Believe me,
You
they
get
do call.
Well, you got
Because
the
my
time
India
zone.
office
You
is
got
on,
the time zone
and
problem.
they will be
Yeah,
calling
yeah.
me.
You have the time zone
They'll be
problem.
like, okay, but they all know that time I usually don't call.
Yeah.
It's very my time.
Yep.
and my thoughts,
I love
my
it.
ideas, my everything
I
is
love
out
it.
there, right? But I'm pretty sure when my office listens to that after 8 o'clock, the nightmare comes in because he has all these ideas
Right.
now.
Yes. Yes.
Now he wants the
Yes. Yeah. Nilesh hasn't had enough coffee yet for
so
that.
I literally wake him up. Right?
you? Yeah.
Yeah. I literally, he knows that
He
this,
told me that he's more of a night owl.
Oh, yeah.
He's more of a night owl.
He's a complete
And we're
night
talking
owl.
about Nilesh, who is I've met, works with Bips at Digitas in their office out of Dallas. But
Yeah.
he's a great dude.
And completely different. So he's a night owl.
He is.
And he gets up, right, and he knows. And whereas when it comes to me,
Yeah.
I'm a
Look
completely
at you guys.
opposite.
You got 24 hours covered between the two of you. Do you? I gotta ask you. You've got impressive schools that you went to, right? So you got your bachelor's degree in India, then you came here for your master's, and then I think you spent some time at Booth.
Yes, I
right?
did my executive program from Booth. Yeah.
Like after, how do you feel about the effect that your education has had on it? Are you in the camp that it was profound and worthwhile, or are you in the camp that maybe it affected me, or I could have done what I've done without it? Because I think higher education is a hot topic in the U.S. It's
Yes,
expensive.
yes,
It's
very
expensive. There's plenty of people who are successful with it. There's plenty of people who are successful because of it. I don't think you can become a neurosurgeon without going to school.
Absolutely cannot.
Right, and
Absolutely
we're
not.
business people, so the line's a little grayer
Yeah.
for us. But how do you feel? I'm just interested in your take on it because you're a successful guy and
So
well
I'll give
educated.
you very simple. Mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
I did a master's. If you ask me today why I did a master's, I don't have an answer.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you simple reason. What we get taught in bachelor's, pretty much the same thing we're doing in master's.
Okay.
Right? Now, you brought in neurosurgery. I think that's a completely different ballgame.
100%. I guess I'm talking for the purpose of the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about business.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you're right. You got it.
So the world we come in
Yeah.
does keep on having higher education help? I don't think so. That's my take.
Yeah.
Right? I think being in business, one have to be very open-minded and very up-to-date.
Yes.
Instead of trying to read a college book, you must be more aware what's happening in today's world.
Yeah.
You must be happening of current affairs.
Yes.
It must be much lively education, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a perspective of like a neurosurgeon 20 years ago had the same brain design that somebody is having 20 years later. In business world, what we did pre-pandemic, we're not doing it today.
Right.
Right? So that's why in
Right.
our side of the
It's
world,
so fast.
Exactly.
It's so fast.
Everybody should be very cognitive about current affairs, current state of mind, current state of the world, right? Those things are much more important than trying to go to a school library and trying to take a
Right.
book of,
But how do
what
you
was
do that?
designed.
But how do you do that? Because like for me, right? I probably have the advantage of I need to know less current affairs than Bips.
Yeah.
Right? You have to know way
A
more.
lot of it, yeah.
But how do you stay up to date? How do you self-educate?
So, you asked me, do I read books? Yes,
Yeah.
I don't read books, but I'm a very avid reader.
Okay.
I read newspaper every day.
You do?
Right? It's on my iPad.
Okay.
I'm looking at current affairs, the countries I'm in,
Yep.
right? I'm also looking at what's happening in there, what that affects us. And being a leader, right? There are people who will say, hey, I'm the CEO, but I have people who are doing it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I am is like, if I cannot guide you, I
Right.
won't tell you.
Right.
Right? So in order to guide my team, I need to be more aware
Yeah.
of what is happening.
Yeah.
I spend more time in learning, right? And I give you some real perspective. This entire payroll system I designed hands by myself.
Okay.
Right? It took us. I've been in that country for 6 years, right? I've gone
Oh,
through all
okay.
the pains. I literally sat down one day, put a whiteboard. I'm like, the pains I have gone through. So payroll doesn't work like this. Employee don't do like this. This is the pay cycle. This is when it comes in. This is how the employee's satisfaction comes in. All that issues that I jot down in that whiteboard, and then I architected it. That okay, this is what I want a program. I went straight to my VP product, and you know what? As much as I say, I have grew up in a family of very strong women. My mother, my own sister, my wife. In my office also, I have like some phenomenal women, like Harsha, who's you haven't met her. She's my VP product.
Okay.
Like literally all my crazy ideas, I go and tell her, and she could immediately cake that cheesecake for me. You know?
Oh, wow.
Like you tell her all the ideas, and she'll be like, "This use case is possible. This is the technology I'm gonna put in. This is what."
Wow.
Then she'll come in. Biplab, can we do this like this? Bips, is this right? This is how you're thinking. I'm like, no, this man need to be, like, she is just like, it's like I always feel that I say things in my mind, and she's able to put that for me, right in there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to understand in business, you value these people like anything. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that is.
It's huge. Do you feel like through your journey, because you've got young boys, me too, right? Like mine are 9 and 7.
Yeah.
Do you feel like through your journey, whether it's school or your experience, do you think that your experience has changed the way you want to parent based on how you were raised?
No.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Let me tell you one thing.
Yeah,
I have
it's
been
interesting.
raised very differently than how my wife has been raised because she's grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. As much as people do, I have a video I'll share with you. Indian parents?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
You get raised by an Indian parents.
yeah, it's intense, right?
I got beaten up
Yeah.
until like I was in high school.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like till the time I was going, my mom will like beat the shit out of me for not listening and
Right.
not coming home and studying.
Right. It's a totally different world.
Like I have a joke. It is, and not a joke. I'm just giving you a life perspective. After coming to America, I realized that you need to value people who have arts degree. Like bachelor in arts.
Oh, because in India it was all STEM.
If you are an arts, your own mom will say you're worthless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Like,
And we do
I-
put a premium on that here.
Oh, believe me, growing up, there are only two options.
Yeah.
Be a doctor, be an engineer.
Yeah.
You have no other option.
Right.
Like, I still remember the word from my dad. My dad said to me, because I had this crazy idea to become a hotel management because, in
Yeah.
school, like
Yeah.
people come up
Yeah.
with different things. And my dad told me, you're my son. If you want hotel management, I'm not going to stop you, but let me warn you something. This is one profession where you have to have a characteristic rather than education that if your customer comes at middle of the night and says it is day and there is a sun out there, you have to say yes, sir.
Right.
That's hotel industry.
Right.
And let me tell you one thing, you don't have that DNA. You might punch that guy. on his
He's like,
face.
he's like, Bips, I don't think you got that cut out.
So at that time, my dad said, be an engineer.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I could be a doctor.
Yeah,
I knew it
his
very
logic
early
matters.
stage. So I told him, be an engineer. And the line he told me, be an engineer. After that, if you want to be the vegetable vendor out the street and selling
Right.
potatoes, trust me, you will be the best potato seller among all of them.
Right.
Right? So
I love that.
So for me,
Yeah.
when I came here, that's when I'm like, bachelor's in restoration,
Right.
right, or fine arts. I'm like, oh, wow, and no offense, I personally feel if you're doing bachelor in fine arts and you coming with me and paying $1,000 a credit, dude, do something else in
Yeah,
life.
I know.
There is no way you will
I know,
recover
I
that
know. It'd be-
$1,000 ever.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to higher education in the U.S. Really interesting.
One thing I'll tell you what in the US, I think why are we afraid telling of, I always feel we like to tell people, oh no, you are doing good. No, dude, tell them honestly. You can't get a job with this shitty degree.
You can't.
Like, I'm
you
sorry.
can't. There's a meme online. There's a meme online of, and it's like a parent talking to their child, and it's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to get a philosophy degree," and the dad's like, "Oh, good, they're opening up a ton of philosophy manufacturers down the road, or philosophy plants down the road," and it's like, but like there is value to philosophy. It's just, it's not the economic impact.
Exactly.
Is just not there.
Right.
It's just
See,
not there.
if you're a philosophy honors,
Yeah.
and your ambition is that, you know what, I'm gonna have a $50 million house in Palm Beach,
Right.
I'm gonna have a private jet and all that, my answer is good luck.
Right.
Right? That degree and that ambition just doesn't fit.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't.
Like if I don't have a garage, and my aspiration is to buy a car, I think the first thing I should do is build a garage.
100%.
Right? And that's exactly in education system.
Yes.
Right? Don't try to just go like, again.
Yeah,
you
don't
know
put the cart before
This
the
is
horse.
the first time I'm doing it. I don't know.
No,
people
no,
will
it's
like
perfect.
it or
No,
not.
it's perfect.
But,
Well, it doesn't matter
you know,
if they like it
people
or
will
not.
say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm a Harvard graduate."
Yeah.
Okay, dude, everybody who goes to Harvard does not mean he's a business genius.
No.
Right? And that's what happened. I met somebody, started giving all this big Harvard. I'm like, Harvard and your communication doesn't seem
Yeah.
like
match.
fitting in,
Yeah.
right?
It's crazy.
Oh, I did sociology. I'm like,
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Do you? I will ask you before we leave, because I think actionable items for you, or actionable items for the listeners, U.S. based. What's your favorite papers that you read? Like, where do you get your sources of truth? Which I know is a difficult thing.
wow. To answer your question, sources of truth, none.
That's okay. Yeah, that's
but,
fair.
But what
that was a
what
bad question.
Yeah.
What do you read?
But what do I read? I think I read a lot of Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, same.
Right. Wall Street Journal is fantastic. I read a couple of magazines.
And do you read the Wall Street Journal cover to cover?
Yeah.
You the whole thing
Yeah.
every day.
Cover to cover.
Okay.
Right. Things that are really of my interest.
Yeah.
I go deep into that.
Okay.
I think, don't take me, no biases.
Yeah.
No taking any side. I think Wall Street Journal is very good in terms of putting it out there.
Yeah.
What's out there. It
Yeah.
gives you a lot of perspective. But to answer your question, source of truth. There is no source of truth. You find your own truth.
100%.
Right? So don't just believe that, okay, I read Wall Street Journal,
I
that
know.
means I know everything about finance. No, that's not true. Right?
It's the modern businessman.
See, I always say, God, I'm a believer in God, and I always
Me
say,
too.
God has given us a brain.
Yeah.
And let me tell you one thing. Slavery, the word slavery comes in many ways.
Yeah.
You will be surprised that blindly following someone is also slavery.
It is.
So don't be a slave.
Right.
Right? Don't just blindly listen to it. The reason they have given us a brain and the education has helped us coming in, right? Where we can
Yeah.
gather data from all different sources and then use our own brains to realize that what is the truth, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would strongly discourage anyone believing in, okay, this is my source of truth. No.
Right.
Right? That's a source of data.
Exactly.
Truth is what you make out of data
Right.
with your own brain.
Right.
Right? Because as I said, you and me sitting across the table, seeing two different things in two different ways, right? And so surprisingly, God has given us view of 180, not 360,
Yeah.
right? So if you just go by that philosophy of truth, then you are only looking at 180.
Yeah.
I always say there is something behind you. So
Yes.
it is you who has to gather all the information and then use it for your
It's the truth. It's my favorite part of Twitter.
Yeah.
Or we're now X or whatever.
Now X.
Is that you can follow all sorts of things, curate
Absolutely.
your own data to help you make the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah.
Like, see, data is out there, right?
It is.
Gather all the data,
have to
and then
gather
you
that.
decide, like, you know, what is right for you, right? Like,
Yep.
and the same thing, I don't think anybody else should say what we should be doing.
Right.
Right? Take advice from everyone, right?
Yes.
That's what, especially in business, I learned one thing. I listen to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who don't know me, will come and give me a big lecture of what business is and what they are doing. Listen to everyone.
Right.
Right?
There's
Listen
something
to
to learn
everyone.
everywhere.
You will have some perspective that you probably have not thought of,
Mm-hmm.
right? So once you do that, and then you make your own judgment call, right? That what I need to do what is
Well,
right
you've
for
done
me.
a great job making judgment calls, man. Done a great job. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
No,
And,
thank you
that
for
was
having
fun.
me.
I
It
told
was
you,
super
dude.
fun.
We could have done this for 2 hours. I told you. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
it
you.
easy.
Thank you.